Hi, everyone. Just wanted to jump in real quick before we get started and say a quick thank you to all my patrons on Patreon. Thank you for supporting this class, and I look forward to creating new videos and new content with your support. So thank you very much. Your name should be appearing in this general area right now. Thanks. All right. Sorry I'm late, everyone. You know where I was because you were all there too. And I assume anyone that's not here got sick of waiting. So yeah.
That's quick.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Here we go. Let's do it. I already started recording. We're gonna get after it and do what we can before time runs out. Because I assume you all have other things that you want to do with your Saturday. Okay. So I see Rasmus, Aurelio, and Mustafa. Is that correct? Did I leave anyone out?
I think that's it.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's it.
So I have Rasmus first on the list by random chance. Do you want to take number one, Rasmus?
Yeah. So number one is per Hotte egi Maria tex hime. So literally, it's an imperative. So do not do fear, and I guess it means don't be afraid.
Yeah.
To take, egi, to take, marry. Your wife, tex hime, your woman.
Your woman, literally.
Yeah.
Although it's pretty clear here that it means wife. It's weird. So scheme, does anyone know the etymology of scheme?
No.
Hime should be
actually,
oh,
yeah, Humet.
And then the S, I think, is an extra. Isn't that the same word for man, just with the T extension on it? So literally, really, I don't know how it's pronounced. Sit? I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's from demotic is Hemet or Sechime, but it's written S-H-M-T,
yeah.
which is from older Egyptian Zet Hemet, Zut Hemet, or depending on how you vocalize it.
Okay.
Zut is probably correct, actually.
So it's a woman wife.
I think it might be Z, actually, now that I think about it. Because
at least I looked up in Wiktionary and it says it's a ZT for the oldest stage, ZT.
That's right. But for the vocalization in terms of like what vowel goes in here.
Vowel,
so the only Coptic descendant I know is the word sa, that's like a prefix for like, it's like a rarely used prefix for trades, kind of like the English suffix right, or like the English suffix man, like in postman. And it's vocalized with the unstressed alpha, which generally comes from pre-Egyptian E vowel. So it's probably zit.
If you look up the word in Wiktionary, there's quite a voluminous discussion of the etymology, and it's really great that these Egyptian etymologies have started appearing on Wiktionary, and it seems informed by Alan, most of it.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I'm not sure who's writing all of these. I mean, it's almost like I almost have to know them, and not just like, I don't think I just know their name. I think I know them.
Yeah.
But I don't know who it is. They're really neat. I love that they're out there. There's some cool stuff on there. I could ask about this, but I know of this one descendant, and I know that it's pretty much the consensus that this unstressed alpha came from an I type vowel. So this would probably be zit, which looks like zit. Oh, I did not see that at first.
Oh boy.
And Hemet is hotly debated because Hemet is weird, right? It becomes hime or himi in Coptic, of course, but then the plural, as you all know, is hyome. So how do you get that? Well, you have to somehow have an A, stressed A vowel here in closed syllable. Oh man, how do we get a closed syllable here? I don't know. So yeah, whatever is happening here is weird. But there must be some kind of semi-vowel in here and probably an A type vowel also. So maybe, I don't know. Could be hi. It's pharyngeal H, and then that. So not a lovely word, but probably the etymology of this. So then, in reference to this question of whether it means woman or wife, well, it is pretty consistent that Coptic uses the plain word, etymologically hemet, which means wife, as the Coptic word for wife. And it does make that distinction between like some woman that just, whatever, generally, and a woman that you're married to. Although, as we see in this case, very clearly means wife, because he's not going to like steal Maria. Like it can't be another meaning of the word G. It's got to be like take her as your wife. Definitely doesn't mean like steal her or rob her or something. So yeah, so here we have a use of the word ashime, where they are not maintaining this clear distinction between woman and wife. And yeah, I don't know why, but English can do that too. So it's not that weird.
Christian, fun fact, isn't that an exact doublet of the etymology of English woman, weave-man?
Yeah, weave-man.
So interesting. Also, my theory that English is just an Egyptian dialect.
I guess the English weave-man would be woman, man, but the Egyptian is woman, wife. So
the Egyptian is female, man, wife.
Yeah. Okay.
But then it does things in the other order of English. So it actually is, because it reverses the noun adjective order of English. Yeah. So it really is equivalent to weave-man. Which is like, what is the etymology of weave-man? It's like
wife-man, right? Wife human, so to say.
Yeah.
Right.
A wife
man
is
this is a human, like a wife person. Like
I think
wife
like
man, yes, a wife person.
The sort of man that I might marry. I guess that is
like maybe a woman. I don't know. Come from maybe a woman and man.
Not really.
I don't think so.
You can see it in all English.
It's a good thought. It's a good hypothesis, but we do have evidence that confirms that it is like weave-man.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know. I don't know how that makes sense. It sounds so silly though, like weave-man.
Yeah, I know, but it's logical.
It's not illogical. I mean, language is not fundamentally logical. I mean, that's like, I say that over and over, but you cannot say it enough times, because so often when we study a language really deeply, it is very tempting to believe that because we are looking at things, kind of from the back lot, we're looking at all the scaffolding that holds everything together. It's very easy to believe that that thing is some sort of priority. And the fact is that for most of the people who have ever lived on Earth, language is a means to an end. It is a way of communicating something to other people. And all of those things about the logic of etymology and why people put things together in the way they do, that is all wishful thinking on the part of philologists, because that was never a priority for anyone who was using this language, except Cicero. Stupid, annoying Cicero, like, has so severely hamstrung the study of language while helping it at the same time. It's deeply ironic. But because he was such a, I don't know what the word is, because he was such an anal, retentive sort of dude, his Latin like insisted on very proper rules. So like generations of scholars after that were like, the rules of the grammar are what's most important. It's like, yeah, for that one guy who was also, let's be honest, super obnoxious about everything. For everyone else who lived on Earth, the point was to say something to another human being. The rules were just incidental. So it's worth remembering that the etymology of weef men or woman as weef men doesn't have to be logical. It can just be like spur of the moment, like that man,
That's
or that, you know, that
Weefman,
one.
yeah.
Which one? The one who's like a wife, not like a husband. Like it could have been exactly that prosaic. Anyway, there's something else I was going to say. Oh, the erhote. You got it correct. You said like don't be afraid. You said don't do fear, which is correct
fear.
too.
Yeah.
But it's worth also pointing out that like this thing, you know, from all of these things, it can need to be translated as be. So in Egyptian, you often do a state of being, and that means like to be that thing. Although in this case, the noun hote actually means fear. So it's don't be fear or don't do fear. It's not clear. And again, you know, lest we get too lost in our own reasoning, it makes perfect sense. Imper erhote makes perfect sense. Don't, you know, to be afraid or whatever. But how it works literally is a little more difficult. Interestingly, side note, hote is what I plan to name my donkey if I ever like have the chance to get one.
Oh my God, Cervantes on the way, huh?
Yeah, so he will be my Don Quixote.
Sorry.
It's so bad.
I don't get the joke. I actually, but it feels fun. I don't know.
So Don Quixote is the main character of this Spanish. What's it called?
Like an epic.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Of how this fights go about fighting windmills. So if you have a donkey,
I'm about to die.
Quixote, it will be Don Quixote.
He will be my Don
I get it.
Quixote.
I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
No need to explain anymore.
Okay.
I mean, I did see that guy online who named his dog Hannibal Barker, which makes perfect sense.
Oh man, that's so good.
It's a good name for a dog, Hannibal Barker.
I know someone named Pinar whose Instagram handle is Pinarchaeologist. She's gonna come out here and murder me for saying that. It's so good. It's so good. I love it. It's like such a dad joke. I know she's hearing me say this and just like boiling inside, but I love it. It's so much fun. Anyway, okay. Before I get myself into more trouble, Aurelio, do you want to read number 2?
Matamoi, kill me. Oh, no, in Coptic. Okay. Inform me. Ma from T, to give, imperative. Tamoi. Tamoi must be some kind of causative verb. And so.
Yeah, it's from Ime. Cause that I
know.
Yeah, cause that I swallow. Literally.
Got it.
Yeah, and then the ma is from T. Yeah. I don't know if I can explain it any further than that. It makes sense. Matamoy. And it is not equivalent in meaning, but quite similar in sound to the Spanish phrase "kill me," which is maybe how people are feeling after this much Coptic study. I don't know. Okay, good job. And Mustafa, do you want to do the next one?
I try my best. Empermei Jeitai Ebel Pinomos Ebol.
Yeah.
Actually, it's an imperative sentence, as I
Yep.
understand. Emper may.
Imper mewi. Imper mewi.
Imper
And then-
me do. Don't do. Don't
Mhm.
do. May think or
Yeah. Sairik metwe.
yeah. Don't think. J.
I'm trying to put little dividers in here because it is. Oof.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
Yeah, I know, but I don't. Not so familiar with Bohairic. Actually,
So
it's
this is
little weird to me.
equivalent to. This is equivalent to entai e.
Okay. Entire E. Then we can say second perfect.
Yes. Well, yeah. Second perfect. That's right.
Don't do think
Mm-hmm.
I did come bell something like I think ball
Yeah.
lose the nomos rules or laws away.
Yeah. Good. Exactly correct. So don't do thinking. Ermewi. It's the normal way of saying think in Bohairic, but literally you can break it down. It has this er inside. So don't think that I have come to bowl the law evol. So don't think that I have come to like unmake the law.
Is
Or
that
destroy.
any
Don't think that I've come to destroy
meaning
the law.
of the accent point accent?
Yeah, I don't think
Point
Jinkim.
in
The Jinkim, which means movement. I think it was taken from Arabic grammar movement, although it works really well for Coptic because I think what it indicates is that this is a consonant whose vowel can go wherever is necessary. So Coptic syllabification rules are pretty consistent. In my opinion, they are very obviously similar to modern Egyptian Arabic syllabification rules. Lots of people would probably dispute that, so don't take my word for it. As always, make your own decisions about these things. But a lot of Coptologists would argue that Egyptian Arabic syllabification rules are more markedly Arabic than they are Coptic. I think that's probably not the whole story. I think they're probably a combination of both. But regardless, what this tends to mean in Bohairic is that the vowel goes where it needs to go. And very often you will see alternate spellings. I don't know of this word specifically, but of a lot of Bohairic words. Cases where you have the Jenkim in one case, you'll have an epsilon in other cases, especially when that word begins a sentence or something. So in cases where the position of the vowel is made absolutely certain, they will often write it. And when it's just a morpheme that gets combined with other things, so the position of its vowel may move, they tend not to write it. And they use the Jenkim to mark that. Although the Jenkim is also used, especially later on, to mark generic syllable boundaries, including cases where you have multiple vowels. It's a messy situation. So long story short, nobody can really say for sure what the Jinkim is for, but it is believed to mark either a syllabic consonant as the superlinear stroke, or the need for some sort of vowel that makes the syllabification work. So you can see that really clearly here, where you have two R's right next to each other, right? We have er. Maui, if we're going to divide this up into syllables, well, this becomes a syllable. This clearly becomes a syllable, and it's in fact 2 syllables. And then this one is just all on its own. So where does the vowel go? I think probably here, because there are cases where Bohairic actually uses the specific spelling ra when the vowel tends to come after, and where it's known for sure, like when it's combined with a later element that makes it certain that the vowel is going to appear after. So yeah, it's kind of, I think the Gen Chem is telling you that you have to decide where to put the vowel on the fly on the basis of syllabification rules. What it's also kind of telling you, or like what it is simultaneously telling you, is that the position of the vowel actually doesn't matter for comprehension of the meaning, right? Because if something is free to move about, the choice of where it goes cannot convey meaning. Randomness, a random element cannot be meaningful. As soon as it becomes meaningful, it stops being random, and vice versa in language as a rule, because language is a tool for conveying information. So yeah.
Follow-up
Yeah.
question. First sentence, the emperor hote, or hote.
Yeah.
I notice on the middle syllable, so to say, the superlinear stroke goes between the P and the R. Is that like this in the actual text, or is that a?
Yeah, it definitely is. And the argument is generally that this is a syllable, or something,
Right.
however you want to vocalize that. We actually don't know for sure what the Coptic R sounded like, interestingly.
Right.
So yeah, but this is some kind of syllabic thing, and they do that in the manuscript. They'll cross multiple syllables. The place where you see it most obviously is in this prefix, where you will see like munt.
Oh.
Munt. It just all goes together. It's definitely not menet, right? It's not 3 precisely placed vowels. But is it ment or net or munt?
It makes sense though. If they put it on the middle end, it would be maybe int or something. But
yeah,
putting them all together under one line indicates that this is one syllable. Make it one. That actually makes some sense. Huh, interesting.
I don't know what that actually means in terms of like phonetic realization though, like making munt one syllable. I think it means a syllabic end still.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we labor under that misperception from English that every syllable has to have a vowel, and that's just not true for all languages. Like, for example,
it's not even true in English.
Is it true? Is it not true in English? What's a counterexample? I mean,
button.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes, you're absolutely right. Of course, you're right. Button. True.
Button.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely true. You're right.
But for some reason, we think the syllables have to have vowels.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
But the spelling.
Kind of glottal stop actually. Button.
Oh no, I put it. But the N is syllabic.
Button.
Okay. I get it.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of syllables actually when you think about it. Modern medicine.
Yeah.
What is that? Yeah,
Sin.
good point.
A lot of R's in English are syllabic. The thing is, we don't have, English never has stressed syllabic consonants, if I remember correctly. So that's why they tend to be unnoticed. Also, this the syllabic N is not phonemic. There's no minimal pair that you can create.
True.
If you say button,
it's the same word. You're right.
Yeah, I actually have a good example of this. So my cat's name is Fenchurch, but her unofficial name is Kitten. And for whatever reason, I don't know why I do this. I literally pronounce it, kitten, with like a fully pronounced T in there. And I've had other native English speakers ask me why I pronounce it that way a million times, and I don't know the answer. I don't know why I pronounce it that way. I think it was just like a cutesy thing because she's like a little furry creature. I was like pronouncing it in like a cutesy sort of way. and like I guess that's the British pronunciation, so it always, you know, kind of sounds vaguely like a Beatrix Potter book.
There is
You
an
say
actually there is an actually word in English for something like kitten for a young cat. I don't know.
yeah, but in American English it's pronounced. No, I can't think of how it's pronounced. Kitten. It's pronounced kitten.
Kitten, just like almost like just kitten.
But for some reason I pronounce it like this only when I'm using it to name my cat. Why do I do that? I don't know, but it's definitely not phonemic, because other native English speakers who have noticed it identify the word correctly. They just ask like, why do you say the word kitten in this weird overpronounced way when you're talking to your own cat? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't do it on purpose. But it's not noticed by native American English speakers as a different word. It's only noticed as like a variant pronunciation of the same word. And I think that that's very relevant to what we're talking about here. So I don't know how much carbon dioxide has been produced by Egyptologists and Coptologists discussing the exact phonetic realization of the superlinear stroke and the Jenkim, but it's definitely contributing to climate change. It's so much, and it does not matter. Like, it could not possibly affect comprehension of these words. You could just pick away, and whoever hears you saying this will just be like, oh, they're a foreigner and they have an accent, or whatever, or they speak a slightly different dialect than the one that I speak, or you know, they wouldn't notice it as a different pronunciation. And we know that that must be the case, because if it were somehow relevant, they would have had to have marked that in writing, because it would be significant for the meaning. So yeah, on the one hand, it's an interesting question, and we can talk about it all day long. Exactly how is this realized phonetically? Are these two things the same in these different orthographic systems? Great question. But in terms of like, you know, if you ever do find yourself with access to a time machine, don't fret over how exactly to pronounce this, because they'll understand you. They'll probably ask where you're from. Yeah, they'll just be like, Evolton, because they won't recognize your accent. Anyway, great question. Definitely like the kind of topic that we should discuss in this class, because I think it would get very quickly boring in the intro class, but this is what we're here for. Anyway, Rasmus, do you want to do number 4?
Sure, I could give it a try. I'm a bit unsure about the Bohairic as well, but
that's okay.
Fortunately, Alan has in the vocabulary just below the exercise, he has given this form netai as the negative of etai, meaning I have not come.
Oh, I got that wrong too. I didn't realize that that's what that was.
Well,
but the on. I was thinking that it was those who I have come evolu to destroy them, but I hadn't actually finished reading.
Yeah,
I should have read further.
So
Sorry.
Just taking Alan's word for it, I'm going to say that netai means I have not come, and then ebolu would be to throw them away, I guess. The an is part of the negation, so right. I have not come to throw them out, throw them away. And Allah, I guess, is borrowed from Greek, meaning but. And the then is the preposition and now I can't see the word because and the jog is a verb meaning to complete. So I've not come to throw them out, but to complete them. And I guess that's Jesus talking about the commandments.
Yes, it's referring to the law from the previous. Okay, what's going on with so let's just ignore the N for now. This etai.
I didn't actually analyze that any further. I just took Alan's word for it, but I have come, so should be some kind of past tense that I have come. I can't seem to make that out.
Oh, sorry. Well, I'll just write it larger to compensate for my handwriting.
Oh, right, yes. So would that mean it's the second preterite?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So entire, yeah, okay, so that's how it would look in Sahidic. That makes sense.
Yep. Why is it second tense?
Let me just think. I did not, it's some sort of, I did not come, so the throwing is the main topic, and then this is putting the context of the first verb into the background for the first for the main topic.
No, it's not. It's not imperfect. It's not putting it into the. Well, oh, you're saying it's making it the theme and not the
It's
ream,
focusing
right?
the adverbial element or
Yeah,
the complementary element.
Right. Yeah, that's correct. So I think what you said before was correct too, but I just got confused based on my own description of the imperfect from previous class. So yeah, it's making that I have come the theme and not the ream, right? So theme refers to what the sentence is about, the known information, and ream is what's being said about the known information. So if you say etai, that is, I have come, and you all know that already, in order to destroy them, right? The in order to destroy them is the unknown information. So Egyptologists might translate that, or Coptologists might translate this, that I have come is not to destroy them, or it is not to destroy them that I have come, with the cleft sentence construction. I would actually use, in my own translation, I would use the negative past emphatic in English, because that actually works perfectly. I did not come to destroy them. It's the normal way of saying it, because English, like Aurelio said, English and Coptic are cognate languages, as we all know and agree with. And naturally, they influenced one another in this development of using the emphatic verb forms with negations and questions and other things like this. So yeah, I did not come to destroy them.
I'm glad my theory is finally finding some acceptance.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the evidence is hard to ignore.
I think it's more of a Sprachbund.
Yeah.
Let's write a paper on that.
It is the result of, I mean, they were never neighboring languages, but they did form a Sprachbund type situation across space and time due to the influence of Egyptology.
It's because of all the stargates that connected Britain to ancient Egypt.
There you go.
There is no other possible explanation at this point.
Actually, there is. That must be Anunnakis.
Oh, the Anunnaki.
Oh, right,
yes.
Yeah. Right.
Absolutely.
It's a different mythology, isn't it?
It doesn't matter. When you're doing when you're doing this kind of reasoning, you just like throw. It's like making a stew, right? You just throw everything into the pot.
They just don't want you to know this. That's all.
Well, it's big Egyptology, right? It's the powerful elites like me who are hiding all this information from people. That's my favorite one when people tell me that. I'm like, dude, look at me. My clothes all combined are worth $50. Do I look like I'm running shit? Like, yeah, I love that. I love that they think Egyptologists are powerful, because it's like, have you met?
To be honest, actually, Coptic weirdly similar, like semi-agglutinative language.
Oh no, it definitely is. That's definitely true. Historically, it's not. But if you were to treat Coptic totally on its own, as you know, many modern linguists would, it is an agglutinating language, certainly. That is the typology that it would fall into.
So weird.
I don't know if it's that. I mean, what about like in Turkish, where does the agglutinating quality come from? I think that all those suffixes were originally separate words that no longer have independent stress and so are
Yeah,
treated as suffixes. Yeah, I mean, they're
yeah,
clearly analyzed. I don't know much about
mostly.
Turkish, but they can clearly be analyzed, and there's clearly like patterns to which one goes where and when. So these were grammatical constructions made of multiple words that have lost independent stress and have become sort of agglutinating. And that's what happened in Coptic, right? All of these were once all separate words, or some of them were possessive suffixes or whatever, and they've all just got kind of mashed together into a thing with one single stress. So then it becomes agglutinating. Anyway, that's not a word you see very often. Whose turn is it? Aurelio, do you want to do number 5?
Sure thing. So salpus, hitis, haval. Cut it and throw it forth or away.
Yeah, haval is, I guess, the Oxyrhynchite equivalent of evol. I honestly don't know if this is like the first.
I was flipping through the pages just as we were speaking before because I was trying to figure just that out. And he says mesochemic, alanamin. Says mesochemic, it would be ebal. So there should be an eta, and the O is an A. Okay, all right. So far so good. And I was thinking maybe the H is just like that alternation, but then the vowel, the alternation. Sometimes there's an H, sometimes there isn't one. But in this case, then the alpha should be an eta. So that makes me think maybe it's a contraction of ha and eval, which is not something Alan discusses as an option. We have here.
It's not something I really thought about either, but I would say that almost certainly is it. So you're right about the alternation of the initial H being a thing that happens, but in every other case I can think of, there's either a known historical explanation for why that H is there, or it's part of a collection of words where the H is optional. So in the case of where it's known, for instance, in the perfect, in dialects that distinguish the perfect and the preterite, the H is present in the perfect, and it actually comes from wa, I think, to stay, having done something or something like that. So the history of that H is known. We know why it's there. And in fact, it was probably lost in dialects like Saitic and Bohairic that don't have it. So those two different prefixes merged. In cases of Greek words, like, for instance, a word, I'm trying to think of a Greek word that does this now, and I can't think of one. I think hetnos is one. I think Coptic says hetnos instead of ethnos. But then, so like non-Christian people or non-Christian person, hetnos, is where we get the English word, or just group, is where we get the word ethnicity or ethnic, and it's where we get the word heathen, right? So clearly there were some dialects of Greek that had a rough breathing and some that had a soft breathing.
No kidding, I didn't know that.
Coptic seems to have borrowed the one from a dialect that is not the one that you learn in a classics department. It's a dialect that has breathings that are different, because they vary and fairly predictable. So on Greek loanwords, the presence of an initial H tells you nothing because it doesn't match anything that you might know about where an H should go on a Greek word. You can kind of just throw it out and look for all words that begin with whatever the first vowel is, whether it has a rough or smooth breathing. In this case, I can't come up with an explanation for how an H would get in there. So it's not a Greek loanword. It's not one of these cases where there's a historical form that would result in an H. It really has to be the preposition ha. That is far and away the most likely explanation given what I know. So I think this is ha evol. So under out. I think it's a combination of prepositions that you just don't see in other dialects. That's my guess.
Would make sense. The other thing I found remarkable, or not remarkable, interesting, let's put it this way. So if I read it right, salpis and hitis, so those are two imperatives just strung together without anything. Like in English, you would have to say, cut it off and throw it out. You can't just put them next to each other without anything in between. That's one of the things I've been wondering about, how Coptic links multiple verbs together. And like, do you have to put awo or woch or whatever it is in the respective dialect, or can you just, okay, tell
So
me
this is a
more.
thing called ascendaton, which you do see in other. It's a classics term that you see in other ancient languages. So for whatever reason, a lot of ancient Mediterranean languages do not use conjunctions as often as modern European languages do. So this is especially true. It happens in I think the term is generally used to describe Greek poetry. So when there's kind of like a mashup, let me just look it up. Let me make sure I'm using the correct definition of this. Ascendaton examples. Ascendaton is writing style where conjunctions are omitted in a series of words, phrases, or clauses used to shorten a sentence and focus on its meaning. Oh, veni vidi vici. It's an example of ascendaton.
That's the first one I thought about. I came, I saw, I conquered, but
It's not Caesar actually.
Wait, what?
Actually, it is not Caesar. Julius Caesar.
Julius Caesar didn't say veni vidi vici or veni vidi vici or whatever?
He said, but actually
in Greek
in that
probably, huh?
photo is not him. It's actually his.
Oh, the photo is Augustus.
Yeah,
Oh,
Augustus,
yeah.
yeah.
Good catch.
Very
Yeah.
good.
And it's
Really?
even labeled Julius Caesar statue. Ugh.
Oh, that's
Well,
interesting.
it's also like if you see photos of a pyramid, it will almost always say Great Pyramid, and it's almost always Khafre's pyramid. I don't know why this is the case. Khafre's pyramid is the one where some of the casing stones still remain.
Mhm.
And I guess that just looks very romantic or something to have part of the original casing stones. So you will see this photo all the time labeled Great Pyramid. And it's like, no, but also like nobody wants to be pedantic enough to say that. So like it's just like an error that gets propagated because no one will ever correct anyone on it. Anyway, so
But isn't the
ascendaton is this thing.
ascendaton? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It's a rhetorical strategy,
Right.
but also in Coptic, it's a rhetorical strategy. So older stages of Egyptian generally don't have conjunctions, or you like Middle Egyptian uses henna as a conjunction when it really means like with, and it doesn't do that all that often either. Interestingly, it is where we get the conjunctive in Coptic comes from the word henna, but very often Middle Egyptian especially will just string words together with no conjunctions. And then later stages of Egyptian will deliberately do that for rhetorical effect, even though conjunctions were available. So you could say, what dialect is this? You could say whatever this dialect's equivalent of awo or wo is. I don't remember which one it is. One of these two words, right?
Right.
You could say the equivalent of that in this phrase, but you don't have to. And in fact, this one is pretty easy to check. Let's see. It's like if your hand
Offends
causes
you, then yeah.
it's probably going to be thy. If thy hand offend thee.
Or it could be the eye. I forgot which one it was. There you go.
Yeah. Saitic uses the conjunctive. Cut it off and you throw it away.
Mm. Yeah, that's more what I would have expected actually. So I was kind of surprised when I saw it's just imperative.
This is a rhetorical
imperative.
choice.
Mm.
Coptic will often string imperatives together using the conjunctive. That's the normal way to do it. So I don't know if this is more common in that dialect, but even then, it probably had the option of using the conjunctive, and this is a deliberate choice on the part of the writer not to do that. So it is truly a case of ascendaton, but it's also in the case of Egyptian, you have a living memory of older stages of the language. So you have a lot of archaizing, especially as a rhetorical strategy. We even see this, there are examples from late Egyptian of people like specifically using like Middle Egyptian style constructions in higher registers and things like that. So it does have this history. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I didn't even notice that, but definitely something going on there.
And I just checked. Alan says awor for Mesochemic. It's awor as well, not war.
Oh, this one. Good.
Oops. Chapter 4.
Okay, I'm gonna take your word for it. Okay, Mustafa, do you want to do number 6?
Yeah.
And that will be the last one.
في نتنبل آخري في I think something to elevate or something to get high. Yeah. And tembel.
I think this is the noun here. Bel from in other dialects it would be the word val.
Yeah, eye.
Eye, yeah. Globes, eyeballs.
In Nathan Bell Akhray. Actually, I thought Nathan means you all.
So it'd be enval would be the eyes.
Okay.
And then neten.
It's a relative then.
Nope. Second common plural suffix pronoun. That's in val.
Second common plural. You, I, you,
your eyes.
Your eyes. Open. Elevate your eyes. Open your eyes. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a weird sentence. It's literally bear up your eyes. I think it means look up. I think it's a I think the Coptic is imitating the Greek here. So raise your eyes, maybe. Raise use eyes. Your eyes. See what we find. No. Oh man, please let someone who works for Adobe watch my Coptic videos. Lift up your eyes. Yeah.
There you go. Phai edit in Nathanval. Okay, what does the Greek say? Eparate tus ophthalmus humon. Eparate. What is eparate? Epiarate.
I don't know.
What is arate?
Yeah, something your eyes. I mean, it's clearly the plural imperative.
Yes. Arate.
I don't know. I should know, but I don't know. Oh no.
Arate.
Damn Greek. You share the Egyptian language.
It means raise. Let's just do this. Let's just.
Airo, ancient Greek, to lift. Contracted form of airo. Airo. or aero, I guess. Staying with classical. There you
I think I
go.
just saw it here. Epairo.
Epairo, yeah.
Thank you, Bible Hub. To lift up. So yeah, the Coptic is trying to copy that, and you can see they do it in the same way every time. Bohairic uses the absolute form of the verb phi, whereas Saitic and whatever dialect we were just looking at uses the pre-nominal form phi. But yeah, always the same meaning of like raise up your eyes. I don't think this is a normal Egyptian construction at all, just like it's not in English either. We don't say lift up your eyes. Definitely if you said that to someone in just a normal conversation, it sounds like you're like that character from All Real Monsters who holds his eyeballs in his hands all the time. Like, it's a very weird image, lift up your eyes. It's not a thing that people say. So yeah, and I think it's the same in Egyptian.
Quoting the King James Bible. I mean, it's a phrase that I guess people associated with biblical language, right?
Oh yeah. Oh,
It's,
definitely.
For sure.
Tradition of hyperliteralistic Bible translations.
Yeah. We borrowed a lot of them into normal English, so that's kind of fun.
I'm going to be totally annoying, but the heathen thing is still at the back of my mind.
Yeah, yeah.
Heathen
sure
from
that's
ethnos,
correct.
I sort of doubt that. I'm going to challenge it.
I do too. Oh, we have a challenge.
It's
like in football.
At least,
I mean, German is Heiden, and that just sounds like a good old Germanic word. Heathenus, I think, in an old heathenus or something.
So I based that on the fact that someone told me that a very long time ago. So I stopped sharing let me share my screen. So I just looked it up and I was totally wrong about that. Just totally wrong. From Heath N, dweller of the heath. One
Dweller
inhabiting
of the heath. Die Heide, yeah.
Is this is the German word equivalent? Heide or something?
Yeah. Heide, and it's indeed the same. You can, I mean, the gender is different. Die Heide is the heath, like the heath that you can walk on, and der Heide, that's the unbeliever, the heathen.
The heath dweller. I actually didn't know what heath meant until just now. I mean, I knew it was something to do with like land or countryside or something, but I didn't know that it specifically meant uncultivated land. So that's kind of neat.
Down by the heath, there to meet with Macbeth. No, Macbeth. Damn it, it doesn't rhyme anymore. But it must have been Hath at some point in time in English.
It must have been Hath, probably. I don't know. Oh, Hath. I guess that's kind of a bleak rhyme. Hath and Macbeth. Okay. Well, I'm glad you threw your little red flag on that one. That was definitely wrong. And I will stop propagating that incorrect etymology.
But on the other side of it, it does seem that the Greek ethnos at least has an etymology that would suggest that there would be an H in the front of that word. And then I guess it fell out in Attic, but it comes from Proto-Indo-European root with swe. Sweat means to be accustomed to something like that. And the swe initial would, I guess, normally be expected to yield an H initial word in Greek.
It would, yes.
Neat.
Cool, very neat.
So I said something that was kind of useful.
And I can see that Old Armenian has the word borrowed from Greek with an H in front of it as well.
Right, Coptic hetnos as well, yeah. Syriac, hatnos.
Yeah, also Syriac. Yeah, that's very nice.
Wow, this is so cool. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Sweat, no. From self, sweat.
Something like sua suffix.
Yeah, right.
In more in the European, something like in Hittite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely
and
that reflexive.
Also Persian. Also in Persian, Old Persian. Partawa or in Hittite, something like Asua, Ashua.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay, well, yeah, thank you for pointing that out. I will try my best not to propagate that mistake any further, but I make no promises. I can't guarantee that I will remember this valuable lesson, but I'm glad you brought it up. It's a good thing to know. Okay, are there any other questions? No, nobody wants to try to follow that.
Why are we all wearing black? Not quite, not quite.
I'm wearing blue.
No, you're gray or
Are
blue, I
we
guess.
are we improved in Coptic? In your opinion, how is our situation?
Have you improved? I mean, obviously, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just
definitely.
wonder, are there any improvement or something?
Yeah,
You know,
I think yes. I mean, everyone who's coming to the classes is obviously doing very well in Coptic. There are people who come less often who sometimes struggle with things, but no, on the whole, I think everybody's doing really well. I should have mentioned that in my long spiel about the history of the class and where it's going. I should have said, because that's another thing that has really surprised me, is that people are kind of engaging in the class at their leisure and still definitely getting all of the information. And I think that's really, if I, not to pat myself on the back too much, but I think the very relaxed schedule of like 1 hour per week and the class just takes a year to finish. I think that definitely makes it work for people who aren't able to spend all their time on this, right? You can, because really learning is so much a function of time, language learning especially, that if you give yourself more time to learn, you don't have to struggle as much, right? Because you'll just kind of like, time will work in your favor with language learning. So yeah, I think that's working really well. I'm extraordinarily pleased. I'm really extraordinarily pleased with how this class has gone. So yeah, you're definitely improving. And I should have said that before. I'm sorry I didn't. But it's definitely one of the things that I take as a positive from all this. So.